All right. Well,
Okay.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you all for having me. I am Kristen Hubler, and I'm already trying to slow myself down because I am from New Jersey. So I talk a little fast, but I know English might be not our first language. So I will do my very best to slow myself down today.
Yes.
But this session is a new one for me, first time doing this. And it's because over the past few years, we've done a lot of general adoption sessions, kind of high level, what do we need to cover? And, but I feel like at this point, a lot of people, we still need some of that high level guidance. But I wanted to kind of get a little bit more into the weeds today of what does it actually look like to support adoption at our organization with Copilot, but then also as an adoption specialist or whatever your role may be, maybe you're involved in training or communication, or you're going to have a team of people that do this. When it comes down to it, what does this actually look like when I sit down at my desk and need to send out communications and do support like this? How can I use Copilot in my role to be able to make it easier for me? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Just a little bit about me. As I said, I'm based out of New Jersey. I'm an author and a change management specialist, love to read, run, and hike. And I own my own business, Workshops by Kristen. So I've been consulting with Copilot and Microsoft since Copilot was born, and Microsoft way before that. I'm getting to the age where I stopped telling you how many years I've been doing this. So that's how long I've been doing it. And what I want to focus on today is kind of three main things. The first is what are the pillars of an AI ready org? What does a organization that does this really well, what does it look like when they roll out Copilot? And then we're going to look into how I use SharePoint and Copilot Create to do those things. Now, I've got some high level slides I'm going to walk through, and then I want to spend most of this time in a demonstration. And please, please, please ask questions. I can, especially when I'm demonstrating, if you see something and you don't know what it does or you want to know more information, I can pivot and talk more or less on different topics based on your interests. So please use that chat. I'll keep an eye on it and I'll check it every once in a while. Okay, so first one, pillars of an AI ready org. What does it look like when we roll out Copilot and do it successfully? The first one is leadership alignment. Now, people have probably talked about this today. I'll confess I wasn't able to attend all the sessions because it's only 10:30 my time. So I was sleeping for some of the earlier ones, but I am sure that we have talked about this. You've heard about this. This is change management 101, right? We need leadership alignment. We need executive sponsors. But I want to specifically call out a few kind of questions you should answer at the beginning stages. So if you are, let's say you're the head of IT, you should be whoever's in your C-suite, whoever's leading your people team, your HR, you need to be on the same page with all of the answers to these questions. The first one, no brainer. Why AI? Why are we doing it? Why are we rolling it out? And the answer shouldn't just be, well, everyone's doing it, right? There needs to be a specific reason for your organization of why AI, and in this case, why Copilot. There's a lot of reasons why you would choose Copilot. So being able to articulate that is very important. And then why now? Why are we doing it right now instead of next year? Why is it so important? And the reason why now matters is because um, you will probably already have a lot of other changes going on. There are a lot of other things happening at your organization, which means we need people to understand why are they doing this in the middle of everything else that they're doing. So being able to articulate that, why it's important. And then what now? Okay, so a lot of organizations I've seen have been very good at articulating the high level AI. Here's our goals. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. This is what we want to do at a high level. But then it kind of stays too high level. So the next step then is breaking down, okay, what are we going to focus on right now? For example, I just worked with an organization where we had a VP summit. We had all of their VPs in the room, and I was able to present to them to talk about AI and Copilot specifically. And part of that message there, we were getting alignment, right? All the VPs in the room. We were explaining why AI, why now. And then we were able to say, what now is Copilot? Copilot is going out to everyone. And then what next? What next is going to be custom agents. So that's important to articulate because every single person in your organization is going to be at a different stage when it comes to their understanding of AI. Some people are probably already building custom agents and they're amazing. Other people still don't know how to prompt and still don't understand what an LLM is. And that is perfectly fine. But when you're communicating a general message, one person might hear, oh, we're doing custom agents right now, and I'm going to build out all of this amazing stuff. And if they start talking about that, then the person that's at the beginning is going to get really confused. And so that's why understanding, okay, what's our focus now? What's our focus next can help clear up some of that. So that's your leadership alignment. Next is going to be transparent communication. So what do we know? I have done not just AI rollouts, but I've been doing migrations to Microsoft 365 for many years now. And a lot of the time when you do changes like this or rollouts like this, sometimes they're done very well and slowly. More often than not, with AI, it's done quickly. We make the decision, we have to pull the trigger. And so we need to communicate before we know all the answers. And that is perfectly fine. Don't let it stop you from communicating. Just let them know, hey, here's what we know now. Here's what we don't know. Here's how we're going to figure it out. And here's when we're going to figure it out. Okay, here's when you're going to get an update. This is what we know. This is what we're working on. And you're gonna get an email next month with more information, or there's going to be in our town hall meeting in May, we're going to do an announcement. Like, you don't have to have all the answers to communicate well. You just need to let people know and set those expectations. So that's what communication looks like. And I'll specifically show you what that looks like using SharePoint and Copilot Create to kind of back that up and be that foundation. But another one I want to point out, because it has to do with training and communication and, and the alignment, is make sure you have training built on habits and behavior change. So this means custom use cases. You can have the same simple use case using Word to using Copilot in Word to summarize, using Copilot PowerPoint to create presentations. It can be the same exact technical use case, but when you word it towards specific departments, that's what makes people connect it to their day-to-day work, rather than just saying, oh, use it to summarize your meetings. If you can say, hey, after if you miss our weekly marketing meeting, you can use Copilot to catch up, and you can ask Copilot questions. So being able to customize those use cases in the language that the different teams and different roles understand is going to make it so much more effective. And then always having a combination of on-demand resources as well as live instructor-led training. You'll see how SharePoint comes into play there. And then some sort of champions network, office hours. No matter how much we want AI to be plug and play, it is still a behavior change. It is still going to be difficult for some people, and it will still require some hand-holding. And sometimes even just offering that stuff up is going to be reminders for people. They'll let them know, oh yeah, this is happening. I've got to go. Oh yeah, they might not even attend the office hour, right? They might not even go, but if they see this stuff is happening, if they see it communicated on their calendars, that those are going to be the reminders for them to change their behaviors and start using the tools. And then that's where you get that ROI. So these are kind of those pillars. This is everything we should be focusing on. And I could spend an hour on each one of these topics. But what I want to focus on today is first, specifically SharePoint. How can we use SharePoint to ground communication in truth? And what I mean by that is you can get up at like that VP summit I had, for example. I can get up there and I can say all the right things. I can have the demo gods can smile upon me and everything can go perfect and we can have the best session ever. But if people don't start using it right away, if they don't hear it again, they're going to forget 90% of what I said the next day or a few days from now. That's just, that's the cold hard facts. And so the reason we do summits like that, the reason you have those meetings is not because people are going to remember what you said, but because they're going to remember how you made them feel. Those types of things are meant to inspire, to get people excited so they can see the CEO up on stage reinforcing this message so that it's important. But what happens next, if we want to take that truth that they heard and repeat it and reinforce it, that's where SharePoint comes into play. So a message in front of a crowd is a powerful thing, but it should never be the only thing. It needs to be repeated, and it needs to be repeated in the language that's been approved. And again, this is where SharePoint and Copilot Create can come into play. And again, you're still going to send emails. We're always going to get emails. We're still going to send updates, but it should never be the only one that somebody gets. It should always be pointing to this one, what I call the one source of truth. So again, I'm gonna switch to a demo in a second, but I just have a few screenshots, mostly just in case the demo doesn't work, because we love technology until it stops working, right? So when I talk about using SharePoint, I am specifically talking about a SharePoint communication site. So the communication sites are the ones that look a little prettier like this. This is called a hero bar at the top. It's a common default setting, but you can customize this to match whatever your organization has set up. There's also templates in SharePoint. Microsoft makes it super easy to build stuff out yourself. But the main point here is that I am pointing to all the right stuff. Someone needs a help desk. I've got the reminder here. That's not new information. They've probably known how to do the help desk for a really long time, but I want to make sure that I'm reminding them, hey, if you have a technical issue, this is where you submit for help. Maybe you've got an e-learning portal, custom videos. Microsoft has so many free resources. The only downside is that it's overwhelming. So you can't really send a user directly to Microsoft stuff. It's never going to work because there's too much stuff there that's not applicable to them. But what you can do is you can go through it. You can pick out all these great resources that have already been created for you, and you can point to the ones that make sense for your organization. So that's what we can do. That's what we can do on SharePoint. And then just in case anyone's new and never used an intranet or never really used it for adoption, these are just a few quick reminders. The reason we use SharePoint is because my main thing is that it updates instantly. Now, I already said this with adoption. Sometimes you have to communicate before you know all the information. Not sometimes, all the time. You have to communicate before you have all the information. And so what we want to do, what we can do with SharePoint is that we can send them that link. And if I notice there's a mistake later that day, or if, our adoption plan changes, I can go and update SharePoint. And most people won't even know because they haven't even clicked on the link yet. Whereas if you send that email, that's very difficult to recall. There are some recall stuff within your organization, but like most of the time when you send out that email, you're not getting it back. And so it's more recommended with communication, keep the email short. 3 bullets, most important information they need to know. Everything else gets pointed to SharePoint. And then same thing, SharePoint, you can search through multiple sites. You can search for the information, a lot easier to find. I mean, just based on the amount of jokes about searching in Outlook, we all know how accurate search in Outlook can be sometimes. So SharePoint is a little easier to find information in there. And then you can also update permissions. Now, I know there are a lot of great security features around email, so you can lock down some things, but for the way most people communicate, that email can be forwarded, it can be screenshot, it can be sent to anyone. Whereas SharePoint, I can update those permissions anytime that I want. So if I accidentally create something and send it out, I can go in and change that permission. And even if they click on the link, they're not going to get it. So again, pretty basic stuff, but important to be said because it kind of explains why it's worth it to go put this stuff on there. And then here are just a few examples of some stuff that might end up on SharePoint. So these are custom quick reference guides. A lot of the content on here is stuff that's been might be generated already from Microsoft, and I'm just kind of putting it into my own custom format. This can be branded. Whatever organization I work with, I always put it in their company branding. That also helps because your users recognize it and they see it as this is from my org, this is important to me, instead of something more generic. So it's kind of this nice in between where you're taking all of the amazing stuff Microsoft has created and you're just pulling what matters to you and putting it into this one pager. That's a lot easier for people to recognize and to reinforce. You've also got quick tips. These can be posted in news posts. I've used these in engagement communities like Viva Engage. So these are very old, so I probably need to update these examples. But this is a great way you could create custom GIFs. I actually created this GIF using PowerPoint. If you're curious about that, we have time at the end. I can explain that. But this is a very easy way to kind of reinforce some quick tips that are going to be applicable to most people. So again, all of this stuff can exist in SharePoint or in a community. And the best part is that it's not going to interrupt their workflow. There are so many studies out there that show how often people get interrupted, how many times a day their workflow is disturbed. And Microsoft's done a ton of studies of the cost of switching between apps and between work. And so it really drains your productivity. So by using a community like SharePoint, you can put all the things on there. You can put all the information and people can access it when they have time instead of it interrupting their flow. And then I mentioned a community. I'm not going to talk about much about Viva Engage today, but another thing that you can do with SharePoint is you can point to a community for people who want to be more involved. They want to ask questions. Maybe they want to test out use cases. Maybe you want to create a champions community for Copilot champions. Viva Engage is a great place for that. And quick benefits, Viva Engage, different questions create different threads of conversation. Everyone gets the answer in their own time. And not everyone checks every day, which is more time to address concerns. So, you're going to avoid those reply all emails and sharing information that just clogging up someone's email with information that they don't need to see today. So that's what's great about creating these separate spaces. Okay, now let me switch. Before I go into Copilot Create, I just want to show you a live example of, here we go. Let me make it bigger. Oh, close enough. Okay, so this is another example of this is just one built out in my demo environment. So I'm calling this the M365 Center of Excellence. A lot of organizations might already have something like this, where you've got all things Microsoft there, Teams training, OneDrive, whatever it is. I've got key links and resources here. So this is where, again, I can point to stuff that's specific to my org, or I might point to some of those Microsoft resources that can be extra helpful. Might add in a note from the CTO, special message, why AI, why now, all of that good messaging. So again, you can take, what's great about this is you can take the same exact content that you use for, let's say, a town hall or like that VP summit I was talking about. I can take that message and then put it on SharePoint. And now whatever that CEO, CTO said that was so important, I can go store that somewhere. So if someone joins the company the next day or someone missed that meeting, they're getting that same messaging. And the leaders can reinforce that same messaging. And then you've got announcements features, so you can request to become champions, things like that. And I also love to use SharePoint as a way to sign up for end user training. So this right here is an event that's actually it's a SharePoint event, so created in SharePoint. And then the way to get to the event is a Teams webinar. Give that a second to load. And so here's an example of AI strategy. Maybe you want to reinforce and say, hey, here's what we think AI strategy. This is why we're doing this. You've got a meeting, but I'm not just going to have one 30-minute meeting. Maybe I want to give 10 different options. I can create different webinars, and then people can come to the events page and they can choose which one they want to sign up for based on their availability. So if you have specific questions on that, I can talk more about how I do that, but that's been my favorite way of providing multiple training options while letting people choose the one that fits their schedule the best. There we go. So right now, this is a general hub for all things Microsoft. But then, of course, I can come in, I can create specific pages for Copilot, and I can point to it right here. This one is pointing to general Microsoft frequently asked questions. So I did nothing to create this, add this. All I had to do was add the link. So I probably set up this entire SharePoint site in 30 minutes. Now, I've been doing this a long time, so I'm very quick with it, but you can create, my point is that you can create this page even if you don't have a lot of information yet, even if you don't have a lot of training yet, but this gives me one link that I can send out over and over again. Every email I send, hey, for more information, go to the SharePoint site. Every time I have a training, more information, on-demand learning, go to the SharePoint site. Every time someone asks a question, how do I use Copilot? Go to the SharePoint site. So it's your one source of truth that you can keep adding to as you develop and get more information throughout your rollout. And then I've got here, I built out a specific page for Copilots. And then I use most of this, I used Copilot to create the copy because it's information that is out there on the internet. Now, I'm an expert, so I'm able to go through and make sure that it's giving me something accurate. But of all the things in the world, Copilot does a pretty good job of explaining itself. So I'm able to I used Copilot to create a lot of this copy on here, grabbed a relevant screenshot. This is a SharePoint. I used, it generates its own FAQ based on the information on the page, which is pretty cool. So that's just a new web part there. So again, so much you can do here that doesn't even require a lot of lift on your part, but makes users feel like they've got a place to go. Like you're not just rolling out AI and leaving them to fend for themselves. You're showing them we're going to support you. And here's, even before you have your own training, this is pointing to one of the free included Microsoft courses. Let me just check. I think I saw a question come in the chat. Gosh, just laughing about the demo. Yes. Let's see. Another benefit by using SharePoint Online, all M365 customers have already. Oh, yes, SharePoint license. Yep. No extra cost. Exactly. It's already built into the suite. So you're using those resources that are already available to you. Don't have to do any extra licensing. And a lot of time people will add the everyone access. So everyone except external users. So you don't have to worry about giving permissions out or anything like that. They'll just automatically have access. Okay, so this is SharePoint. We talked about that. Now let's talk about Copilot Create. Now I'm curious, feel free to drop it into the chat if you have, because I know Copilot Create is kind of, I have seen a lot of people not using it yet because it's kind of like snuck in there, but it's this really great thing. And so what I've been using it for is to create videos. Now let me see, did I share audio when I shared this? I think it should. Let me see. Let me know if you, Thorsten, can you give me a thumbs up if you hear this? Do you hear it? Nope. Okay, hang on. Let me try a reshare. And I'll include sound. All right. There we go. Okay. So this is an example of a video that I created using Copilot Create. And what I did was I took a PowerPoint presentation that I had already used in a meeting. In this case, I grabbed a few slides from that VP summit. I didn't use all of them because it was a very long presentation, but I grabbed just a couple as an example. And then I used Copilot to create a voiceover transcript in the notes of the PowerPoint. And then I fed it through Copilot Create, and it generated this video based on that presentation.
Meet your new
There we go.
Copilot. Most people are already familiar with AI chat tools like ChatGPT or Claude. These
So
tools
this is
are by large language
a
models.
minute video. I'm not gonna have you watch the whole thing, but this basically took me all of 4 minutes from when the PowerPoint was done to feeding it through Copilot and having it exported and ready to view on my computer. 4 minutes for a 4-minute long video. Like that's how long it took to buffer. Now I had to do a little bit work before those 4 minutes to be able to add in the transcript and make sure the slides would translate well to a video. But even if you don't want to do that much work, you can easily take something and feed it into this sort of presentation video that you can then put on SharePoint, you can put somewhere else. And I don't have to.
Copilot, and from there,
does a nice voiceover for me.
Your
So
teams already use.
this
Word,
is
Teams.
the
Meet your new Copilot.
Oh, next
Meet
slide.
your new Copilot.
Sorry.
Most people are already familiar with AI chat tools like ChatGPT or Claude.
There we go. Okay. So how did I do this? I used Copilot to add a transcript to the notes. So I actually, for most of this, I used Copilot Chat, and I pasted in the slide, and I said, create a voiceover that's going to go in a video about this slide. And it generated the initial copy for me based on the content that was on the image. And then, of course, I had to tweak it and I had to add a little bit to make it a little bit better. But I didn't have to type out all of this. When there's good content on the slide, you can use Copilot to create it for you. So that's step one, taking the PowerPoint and adding the transcript to the notes. And then I created the video from the deck, which I can go through. I can show you that in a minute. And so all you have to do is create a video from the presentation. It'll automatically detect whatever you have in the notes, which will turn into the voiceover. And then this is where you want to try and make your notes as good as possible, because you can update it later. So once I get to this stage, I can actually open the transcript and I can say, you know what? I want more of a welcome than that. And I can type in something else and it'll update. It does take about, like, depending on how long of a change is, it might take 30 seconds to render and reproduce. So your best bet at moving quickest is to make sure your transcript is accurate. Now, this is just an example about generic Copilot stuff, but what I've seen this be really helpful is reinforcing the specific AI message at your organization. And in those situations, people can be nitpicky about the words that you use because they want it to be exactly what they want communicated. And so what I recommend there is put it in a Word document first, send it to the CTO, whoever's the one approving the language, make sure that voiceover is exactly what wants to be said, and then plop it into the PowerPoint and separate it by the slides. But this is where it can be really powerful, because you're taking that exact message and you're getting to repeat it over and over again. So if I need to, I can just transcript. Yes, go ahead.
Short question. Just to have a better understanding, where's the AI power now? So the image, for example, of the airplane in the background, this is based on a slide you already have in the PowerPoint slide deck.
Yes.
And the AI power is to build this voice over this female voice we heard and read the transcript or the text you configured there. This is
yes.
what AI is for, has been used.
Yes, it's mostly for that nice voiceover to be able to save, because anyone that's done training or custom videos or
Mhm.
a lot of the time I'll do, even quick demos. Um, having somebody stumble over the
Yes,
voice of what's happening, it's okay, it works. But here, with very little effort, I'm upping that professionalism
of
quite a
course.
bit.
Yes.
Mhm. The one thing that it doesn't do yet, which I would love to see soon, is that if I have videos in my PowerPoint, it will not migrate the video. However, it will create a space for it. So here, I'll show you this is just make sure I grab the right one. There it is. Okay. So this is the PowerPoint that I used, that I fed into the AI. So here are the what I've the voiceover notes down there. Now, sometimes, let's say I want to add in an actual demo to show people, hey, here's how you use Copilot, which, I do this a lot. What I do there is I'll go and I'll add a blank slide, and then I actually use record in PowerPoint. A lot of people, this is a
Mm.
feature not a lot of people know about. I can grab a screen recording right here in PowerPoint. I can say, hey, this is the part I'm going to demo. I can record that, and then I'm going to do 3, 2, 1. I'm going to say, okay, yeah, to open up Copilot Create, go here, then type in here, and I'm going to do my whole little demo, and I'm going to stop that, and then it's going to give me that video here. I can even come back and I can trim it if I need to. So if I had a little too much stuff at the beginning or the end, I can trim that. And now what's going to happen, though, is when I feed this through Copilot, it's going to create space for me, but
Mhm.
is not
Mhm.
going to move the video. So at least where it stands right now, I would not be surprised if we're able to do this down the road. But right now, all I have to do is I have to save the media, and then I can import it once I open it in Clipchamp, which is the video editing software. So it does. So when we're adding videos, it does require a tiny bit of video editing skills, but Clipchamp, which is the video editing software, is very easy to use. Um, Let me go back. I got it in here. Yeah, so this is editing in Clipchamp. So once I've got that transcript correct and I've got the PowerPoint, it's going to give me every single slide that I had in that PowerPoint. But I can import other media to add to it. So I can add in screen shares, I can add in other content. If all of a sudden at the last minute they say, oh, wait a minute, I don't like that slide, I want this slide, you can easily add a picture to it, instead of having to regenerate that entire video.
Yes.
But the closer you can get to a finished transcript and finished PowerPoint, the easier it'll be to edit later. But you
Mhm.
can technically come in and actually, let me show you where it ends up, because it's not entirely intuitive. So when you create Clipchamp, when you create the video, right now, there's no real way to get back to it in Copilot Create. There's this My Video section, but it doesn't show up there. Whenever I create images, my old images will show up. I don't think I have any in this environment, but yeah, but they will show up here. But to get to the video again, in your OneDrive, in your files, a videos folder is created. And so anytime you use Copilot Create to create that video, you can come here, and this is where, so I've already done, tested it out. I've already done more than one with the same name. And then this is where I can come in and get that video or open it back up in Clipchamp to do that editing.
Perfect.
Voiceover probably only available in just a few languages. Oh, good question. Let's see. Let's try it. I'm not sure. Create a video from this presentation, because I know Copilot can translate into a lot of different languages, but I actually haven't tried it yet. Let's try this one. I'm going to say in German. Or du musst make voiceover in German. So I don't know if that's going to work, but you can at least see this is how it works. This is how long it takes for longer PowerPoints. For ones that are like really big decks, it's obviously going to take longer to generate. So sometimes I'll let it cook and I'll go and do something else. But for shorter ones like this that are about 10 or so slides, usually it takes maybe a minute to generate. And then what I don't see in the background is that it's creating that file in my OneDrive. It's creating a Clipchamp document. I technically don't ever have to open Clipchamp. If there's no mistakes and there's no edits, I can just export directly from this screen, which we'll see in a second. But opening in Clipchamp is where you can make other all those, specific editing changes that I mentioned. I'm really curious to see if this will work because I know Copilot can technically translate to many, many languages. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, you guys are going to have to help me out to see if this is actually accurate. So
yes. Looks good.
Does it look good? All right.
Yeah.
So yes. So there you go. All I had to add was what language I wanted it in. And now this is where, just while I'm here, I'll show you, I can adjust things as well. I can add in backgrounds. I can change the voice. These are the voices that we have. Looks like they picked Fable, but if I want a traditional male voice or other voices, I can choose after to change that. The one thing that I will caution you with, the transform, in my opinion, is not, it hasn't worked the way I would like it to work. Like what's supposed to happen is if I come in here and I add a change, make it longer, make it shorter, something like that. That's the general idea that's supposed to happen. I have found it only successful about like 50% of the time right now. And so what I usually do is I just go back to create and do a new prompt. Again, it continues to get better as time goes on, but that's just where I see it right now. And then, yeah, if I want to adjust the tone, I can do that. So these are all things that I can put in that original prompt. Prompting 101, the more specific I am, the better chance I am going to get those results. So if you want it to be more friendly, more professional, whatever it is, I recommend adding those in at the prompt at the beginning, but the transcript really does come in handy because the biggest thing I've noticed is that sometimes I'll have one slide and then I'll be like, oh, this is way too long for one slide on a video. And so sometimes I'll then go in and I'll cut out a sentence or I'll shorten it. And now that I've done it enough, I've gotten better at knowing how long I want those notes to be. But sometimes it's still, you don't notice it until you make the video. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's way too much information for one image. All right, good questions. I know, let's see, we've got I was aiming to end at 45 minutes. We've got about 7 minutes left. Keep those questions coming if you have them. Let me just pop back over here to see if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Okay, we already saw it in action. And then, yeah, okay, so those are the main kind of content I wanted to cover. What questions do you have in terms of how I'm doing this with SharePoint, Copilot Create? I'm happy to dive in and show anything else specific that I haven't mentioned yet or that I just breezed over. If you want me to actually show you how to do it, I'm happy to do that.
Did you already did some tests with the Copilot feature in SharePoint? So Copilot is able to create your FAQs or Q&As and write texts. So I could imagine that it's also helpful when we would like to do some communication regarding Copilot.
Yep, absolutely. So a lot of these, I've got several options for using Copilot when it comes to creating this type of copy. And you're going to get different results depending on which one you're using. But one of my favorite ones is this This is just in preview, which means, it's new. It's probably going to get better, but this is the Copilot. I created an FAQ. Let me at least delete this and I can show you. So let's see. So I've got, this is what it looks like in SharePoint, these little kind of stars. And I've got options for just prompting, saying, hey, create a section about this. So maybe create a section about Copilot's agents, include specific information on researcher and analyst. Let's see. And again, this is in preview, which means we have to adjust our expectations. Okay, this is getting us excited about what's coming, what's going to continue to get better, but it's still new. They're still testing it out, so just keep that in mind as we try some of these. Yeah, so here it's creating everything for me. It matches the colors that I've chosen for my website. So it's sticking with my branding that I've already picked out. It doesn't quite match this like same style that I have, but that's okay, especially if I start with this and nothing else, then it'll continue to match its own style. So here it's giving me researcher, analyst, learn more. And then I can obviously adjust it, or I can add it to the page. And now, so you'll notice how it changed too. It kind of looked like it was going to be this little thing, but then it ended up taking up the whole page. So that added a couple different sections for me there. And then I can also, let's do the web part. This is the FAQ web part. And notice I've also got the agent link. So this is where with Copilot, you may have heard this already today or already aware, but you've got the generic Copilot logo that you can look for to chat with, but you're going to start to see the AI capabilities popping up in all different places. So keep that in mind whenever whenever you see 3 dots or whenever you're in an app, even if you've used it for a long time, look for those stars because cool features are popping up everywhere. So in this case, I'm creating an FAQ. And then let's see, I could do, here, I'll get started from over here. Now, this is where I can choose a file, I could choose a page, I could choose a specific location for it to create the FAQ from. I believe the last time I did it, I just created it from the page. So let me do general and then output language. I'm going to choose English, but as you can see, I've got all those different choices there. And then the reference, I think use the information on this page. Let me see if that works because it worked last time. It just created it from the, oh, maybe I have to do, hang on. This is one of those things where, there we go, current page, duh. I love when you don't do something for a while and you're like, wait a minute, you got to reteach yourself every time. Okay, so I will show that again just because I did that fast. I clicked the Get Started button, and then I've got the options for all the pages. But if I just choose the current page, that it's going to pick what I already filled with that page, and then it's going to generate the FAQ. So again, what I love about this type of stuff is that you can use the same content. I can prepare a PowerPoint deck for a presentation, and then after I give that presentation, I can come to SharePoint, and instead of giving it the page, I can give it that PowerPoint deck and say, create an FAQ based on this deck. And then I can load it here. And then I can use Copilot Create to create that video. And then I can put the video on here. So much of what we create and spend our time in at work, it only ends up being used on one thing. But what we're able to do here is we're able to then expand on that, so that way we can make sure that message is heard and repeated. So here I've got 3 different sections, and I'm going to ask it to draft questions. So with this particular FAQ, it's going to ask me like every step of the way, do I want questions? Do I want answers? So I can put in my own answers if I want to. In this case, I'm going to ask it to draft answers.
That's amazing to see.
Isn't it? Yeah, like it's so
Yes.
fast too. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Imagine how long you would work when you would do it manually.
So much. Yeah. And so this is the exact place where we should be using AI. You know, I know what's right and wrong on this page. I could have made this FAQ myself, but why spend the time when I can use Copilot to do it that much faster? And then all I've got to do is skim through and make sure it's correct. Maybe I'm going to add in a few specific questions that are more relevant. But what's great is, look, it's answering questions about agents, and I use Copilot to generate that content too. So I didn't even have to do any of that for it to be able to show up here. And then I can keep it. And then there's my FAQ, and I will republish. And then what's great, what I like about this is that the default is that it's all kind of carroted and organized, but I can come in and look at those answers, and I can even copy a link to a question. So this is really great. You've got people submitting IT tickets or reaching out to champions, asking questions. You can literally copy the link and send them the answer just like that. Mm-hmm.
And what is also important to know is if you update the content on the page, or if you reference a Word file, PowerPoint file, whatever, and there is an updated version, it will automatically ask you if you should if the FAQ should be updated based on the new content, and Copilot will do the job for you. So it's crazy to see.
Cool. So cool. All right. Well, I know we're getting towards the end of the session. I'm happy to demo more and answer as many questions until we have them. Just want to make sure that I put up that feedback link there. Please don't hesitate. If you're shy and don't want to ask questions, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always more than happy to help people out. Yeah, but this was fun. Thanks for letting me test out this new session.
Thanks for being here, Kristen. It was great. Great content, great session. 5 stars from my side.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I don't know what you have. I know it's at the end of most people's workday, so they might be eager to get out. But like I said, I'm happy to hang on. If someone thinks of a question, feel free to pop it in the chat.
Yes, please do so, and give Kristen some feedback. And yeah, if you are still interested in it, of course, we still have as the end note with Donna. So unfortunately, she was not able to do the keynote at the beginning of the conference, but at 5:25, she will start the end note. So if you have enough energy to join us this sessions, we are more than happy if you would like to join us there. And after the end note from Donna, we will do the closing and the raffle for the first edition of the Coco Europe 2026. And once again, Kristen, thanks so much having you here. It was a pleasure and great insights.
Thanks for having me.